All right, hey everybody, my name's Stephen Joyce,
What's up, guys? I'm Jordan Young.
and we are the National Park Serve, here to serve you the information on overcrowding and crime in America's national parks. So, let's just get right into it. Overcrowding in national parks is a huge issue, especially since COVID restrictions have been uplifted. Many places are seeing like record turnout for these national parks to the point where the facilities and the land aren't equipped to handle the amount of people that are coming in and out of the parks. Do you want to talk about crime for a bit, Jordan?
Yeah, so basically, my topic is how crime affects these populations, and we thought they correlated with one another because if a park's overcrowded and stuff, it is more what is the word?
Susceptible
To crime.
Yes.
And it can be harder to fight crime with so many people in a park with a limited amount of park staff.
But also, like, the more people in the park, not only is it harder to fight it, it's harder to see it and find it.
Right.
Rather than if there's like 20 people in the park at a time.
Exactly. And this can be on any level. County park, state park, national park, any type of little recreational area. I feel like this stuff could apply to.
Yeah. But getting into the challenges of recreation and why it's a challenge. One big issue with overcrowding in the national parks is that the natural environments are the main reason people are coming to these parks. So the more people that come through, the more damage is done to the environment, which in turn creates for a less than desirable experience for park goers.
Mm-hmm. Could make people not even want to go. Be like, no, that place is too crowded. I don't know if I want to go there today. I don't want my car broken into or anything like that. I feel like definitely a challenge that both of our topics have together is we know that recreation is good for your mental and physical health.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenges that are faced with these topics is basically I'm gonna brain blank. If we can't provide a safe and natural area for the public, then we're essentially putting the public's health at risk.
Yeah. But also, like, going off what you just said, nobody wants their cars broken into. Didn't you say that's one of the more common crimes to happen in parks?
Yeah, so it actually is. It's pretty common because, you know, if you go in if you go in a park, you're gonna go on a hike, you're gonna go on a Jeep tour, something cool like that. You want to go explore. You want to see what the park has to offer, and your car very well could be broken into because people who are breaking into other people's vehicles, that's what they look for, and it's honestly a good place for them to do that.
Especially with more people overcrowding the parks, that leads to more parking spots filled up, people creating their own parking spots. Like
people going in and out of parking lots a lot quicker.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to like get away with the crime if there's more people.
Right.
There's more parked cars in an area rather than like 5.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And now a word from our sponsors.
When's the last time you wandered, or watched, or paused for a sight that takes your breath away? Here, we become adventurers, dreamers. We connect to ourselves, each other, and the passionately protected nature around us. This is the very best in all of us. This is our mountain. Come together on Grandfather Mountain.
So the angles of our issues, such as criticisms, positions, and aspects to consider. Criticisms for crime in the parks people could think, oh, you know, this park's, I think it's North Cascades Park or something like that. It's one of the most deadliest national parks in the United States. And people could be like, oh, I don't want to go there. You know, it's scary. I've heard a lot of deaths happen there. Or I've heard a lot of criminal activity has happened at this park. And people could not want to go to the park or feel unsafe, and that could cause them not to want to participate in recreational use of the parks.
Do you know why those parks are the most crime-ridden? Is it like the location?
Okay, so it's the location. I read, okay, so the number one cause of deaths in national parks, can you guess what it is? What do you think?
Carjack, no.
No.
Honestly, I have no idea.
What would be like an obvious thing?
Oh, gun violence?
No.
No.
I don't know. I actually don't fully know all the rules with firearms in a park for the national side.
Yeah.
I only know like county level because I worked for the county. But what if you had to get like try to guess one more time. What do you think the most common death is in national parks?
Going off the trails and getting lost.
No, it is drowning.
Drowning.
Drowning's the leading cause of death in national parks.
You still shouldn't go off the trails, though.
No, I thought it would be like falling or something like that.
Is that a crime though? Drowning? Obviously not. But going on to overcrowding, many of the criticisms for overcrowding come from the solutions, ironically. But one criticism is limiting entry to prevent overcrowding may make visitors feel unwelcome, and they might turn around to go somewhere where they feel more included.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if a park would charge entrance fees or just accept donations of any kind, visitors might also feel unwelcome and go away, even if they're just donations. But any money gathered from these donations or entrance fees usually go to conservation projects and park preservation. One of our friends, Forrest Davis Clark, he works with Valley Cruises Parks and Rec, and he said that during the summer, even if they're just accepting monetary donations, like when they're hosting music in the park, some people will turn away once they hear that because they feel obligated to pay.
Right.
Which obviously the money would be helpful, but it's not required, and people should know that.
Yeah. What would you say to people who feel like if there's a limited number on people that could be in a park at a certain time, and let's say that you worked like the front gate or whatever, that allowed cars to come in, and you had to start turning people away because the park was at max capacity, what would you say to them in order to get them to maybe come back the next day, like come back at an earlier time, or like to try to encourage them, like, we do this so that everybody can enjoy it, kind of deal?
I feel like it's less what I could say in the moment and more what we can communicate before they show up.
Yeah.
So, for example, like during COVID, these parks, right as they first opened, were requiring visitor slots to sign up beforehand to limit entry. I know Grandfather Mountain did that. So like if they didn't understand that, and if I had to say it at the front gate, I'd be like, hey, go to our website, you can reserve a time, see what's available tomorrow or the day after. But overall, it is just an effort to limit people coming in. As much as we want people coming in, there has to be a capacity somewhere.
Right. Right. So potential solutions for the issue. Well, I feel like a solution for crime in the park is to hire more park rangers. Mm-hmm. There are millions of acres of land, and rangers gotta cover that ground in a certain amount of time in their shift. I feel like more rangers could cover more ground. If there's if people see like the presence of an officer, it makes, it can make them feel safer. They can know like, oh, nothing bad is gonna happen in this area, and just make people feel safer. And also just being safe as a patron yourself when you go and visit places. Even if you go to a overly crowded park, it's important to be safe yourself and not really think of all the bad things that could happen around you, but just, be aware of who's around you. Keep your car keys on you, lock your car, don't leave your purse in your car, stuff like that.
Do you think that visitors would be more comfortable seeing a cop in the park or a park ranger? Because cops are cops, they enforce the law, we know that, but park rangers know their way around the park probably more so than a cop would.
I would say, personally, I would feel more comfortable if like a park ranger was around, just because they're not that city police officer. They are, they're in the woods, they're on the trail, they work alone, and
they're more equipped to deal with issues related to the park specifically.
And outdoors, right?
Yeah.
So, game wardens, for example, that they can go on your own property if they wanted to. They have jurisdiction everywhere. They carry, the biggest guns, too. Because, think about it. Anybody that they come into contact with, hunting-wise, they're going to have a gun.
Yeah.
So, it's important, just in the sense of, being prepared for the environment you're in.
Plus, I feel, relating it back to me, park rangers would be more well-equipped to deal with overpopulation in the parks.
Right.
Cops know how to, do it in the city, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But in the park was a different story. There's more places for people to hide. With more people in the park, there's chances that people are going to go to restricted areas.
Yeah, the Blue Ridge Parkway is a great example. They
mm-hmm.
shut down parts of the parkway because they don't want people going on it, especially in the wintertime when the roads are bad.
Some of the lookouts have fences over them. I see people hop those fences all the time.
Yeah.
To, get the picture, but, be safe,
Yeah. And, there's only so much you can do. You can't you can't put baby guards around a national park. It's good whenever you're visiting or, going to any of those places to know the risks that are, associated with going to those parks. You go to Yellowstone, you might see a bear, you might see a bison, elk, a moose.
Yeah. And, relating it to your topic, the barriers are there to
mm-hmm.
keep people safe.
Mm-hmm.
Relating it to me, they're there to keep the natural environments that they want to preserve safe.
Right. Which all goes back to people using the parks in general.
Yeah. But that leads me to another one of my solutions. Many parks offer interactive trainings on, appropriate park behavior. I know Grandfather Mountain does some of those. So, we could instruct people on what places to stay in the park, how to respect barriers, stay on the trail, enforce the leave no trace policies,
Yeah.
The 7 rules. Don't know those off the top of my head.
We'll be right back after this break.
So you want a university that will challenge you, a place that has success on and off the field, a university that puts you on the move, a place that surrounds you with inspiration, a university that places you above it all. Yeah, we know a place. Appalachian State University, North Carolina's premier public undergraduate university.
All right, so who are the experts in the field of national parks? Obviously park rangers, right? But also the National Park Service and park employees.
Park employees, anybody, I would say anybody associated. Well, I wouldn't call them an expert, because I'm thinking like volunteers and stuff like that, but experts, yeah, definitely rangers,
Yeah.
staff.
Because, like, what we were talking about earlier, a park ranger knows his way around the park better than a cop would. So, obviously, we
Exactly.
trust a park ranger more. That doesn't go for every situation, though. But, like, volunteers, like you said, they just have, like, basic knowledge. I need someone who...
Right.
I need someone who can keep me safe within the park, because I'm not trying to become a victim of park crime.
Yeah, that can give you direction, and that can give you honest answers. You know, like, if you visit a national park for the first time and you're like, where do I begin? You know, where's the safest place? Like, where's, you know, a decently populated place? I don't necessarily want to be isolated, but I don't want to be in an overcrowded spot. And I'm sure rangers and even like interpretive rangers who work at visitor centers, they would know that very well. They might even know that more than like the law enforcement side.
Yeah.
Uh,
But not only that, relating it to my topic, these park rangers specifically are equipped with the knowledge of how to handle overpopulation in the parks, but also how to handle environmental damage.
right.
And, like, if there's any funds allocated from, like, the entrance fees I talked about earlier, how can those be used to, I don't want to say refurbish, but you know what I mean.
We'll just keep the park up and running, like
Exactly.
fixing fences. I know I went to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and there was like a 200-year-old cabin, and they had like a fence around it because they don't want people. They want to preserve it as much and as long as they can, because that's what all of this is. And I would guess that some of that money goes towards keeping stuff like that up, paving parking lots, and, you know.
Yeah. But, like, the big question, how would we deal with this as a as a recreation professional? I know, as I mentioned earlier, the interactive trainings on appropriate park behavior. In the past, I've actually been to some of those and also conducted some of those.
Okay.
I took a class called Environmental Education Skills with Mandy, and we learned about how to respect animals in the park. We became certified in Leave No Trace. And then in rec program planning with Shannon, me and my group led a interactive night hike at Mount Jefferson State Park with park ranger and professor Tom Randolph, where we got to educate the hikers on, like, the park flora, fauna, how to appropriately conduct yourselves, and most importantly, staying on the trail to keep yourself safe.
Right. And I think that definitely ties in with just patron safety, how to make yourself, like, your chances of being victimized decreased. But I would say, yeah, the implementing programs, like safety programs, you know, it can be like basic stuff from wear a helmet when you go horseback riding, or what you said, trail safety, stuff like that. I think that all kind of ties into one another, just keeping everybody safe, especially when there's a lot of people.
Yeah, because trail safety isn't just about the person, it's also about keeping the natural environment safe from crime and overcrowding.
Exactly.
All right. Be sure to catch us next time on the National Park Serve, where we critique other capstone projects. See you later.
Peace out, Rangers.